Allow me to take you on a journey across the Indian Ocean, where the waves of diplomacy, strategy, and influence churn in a complex dance of power. We find ourselves amidst a scenario where ships are not merely vessels of commerce or exploration, but symbolize the intricate geopolitical relations among nations. In recent times, we've witnessed China's increasing naval activities near the Sri Lankan shores. The arrival of the Chinese warship with surveillance capabilities, the Exeyan 6, at Colombo port, is not an isolated incident but a growing pattern that speaks volumes about the burgeoning power dynamics in the region. Perhaps some of you are wondering, why is this significant? Why should India be concerned? In the vast and ever-changing tapestry of international relations, the arrival of a ship in the port of a small island nation might seem like a minor event, easily lost in the turmoil of global affairs. But when the ship is Chinese, the port is in Sri Lanka, and the eyes of two major powers, India and China, are locked in a strategic game, the ripples can resonate far and wide. Let us explore the unfolding situation. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube. Now, let's begin. Why is this significant, and why does it matter to us? The question that stirs the hearts and minds of many is this: what brings this Chinese vessel, along with others like it, to the shores of Sri Lanka? And why does it matter? First, let's take a step back and consider the events that have led us here. Just last week, another Chinese vessel made its way to Sri Lanka, a warship 129 meters long, equipped with surveillance capabilities and manned by 138 sailors. The vessel's arrival was not without controversy, as it was delayed due to India's concerns. It may not be surprising that permission was granted for this ship's entry into Sri Lanka, yet it raises eyebrows, considering the commitment made by Sri Lanka's President Ranil Wickremesinghe last month. He assured that Sri Lanka would not become a base to threaten India. However, the increasing presence of Chinese ships seems to be singing a different tune. So, what's happening here? Why is sudden interest in Sri Lanka's ports? The answer lies in two primary concerns. Strategic concerns. India, geographically neighboring Sri Lanka, believes that these Chinese vessels might pose a threat by snooping on military assets. China's consistent sending of so-called research vessels, which may have dual functions, adds weight to this concern. Influence. Once considered part of India's sphere of influence, Sri Lanka's recent actions paint a different picture. Chinese warships docking at Sri Lanka is seen as an affront by India and a sign of shifting alliances. Ladies and gentlemen, you may ask, why should we be concerned about these vessels and their voyages? The answer is that they reflect the complex and intricate game of geopolitical chess being played in our region. It's a game involving not only India and Sri Lanka, but a wider circle of influence and power with China at its core. Now, let's delve deeper into the underlying dynamics of this situation. China currently owns about 20% of Sri Lanka's external debt. Its influence in Sri Lanka has grown through investments in various sectors, such as the latest entry of Sinopec, a Chinese oil company. This economic dependency makes it difficult for Sri Lanka to distance itself from China, a fact that shapes Sri Lanka's choices and actions. You might wonder, how far will Beijing push Colombo? The answer, it seems, is both financial and military. Sri Lanka's recent decision to join the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership (RCEP), a trade bloc dominated by China, and one that India exited in 2019, demonstrates China's push in the financial sector. And it doesn't end there. The possibility of a Chinese military base in Sri Lanka has emerged, with reports highlighting Hambantota as one of China's top options for a naval base. Already, China has invested nearly $2 billion in Hambantota port, which is under their control on a 99-year lease. The question that now looms large is not just about the trade and investments. It's about the boundaries of trust and allegiance. India has so far let these transgressions slide, but for how long? This question ladies and gentlemen, is something both Sri Lanka and India will need to ponder. Please consider to subscribe, comment, and share this video. Why are these Chinese vessels making frequent visits to Sri Lanka? And more importantly, what does this mean for India, the neighboring giant that has traditional and strategic interests in Sri Lanka? Let me answer that by considering two factors. Firstly, India's strategic concerns stem from a suspicion that these vessels may be utilized to snoop on military assets. China's reputation for deploying dual-function ships capable of conducting research and surveillance is well known. Secondly, the shifting influence in Sri Lanka, a nation once under India's sphere of influence, now hosting Chinese warships, is seen as an affront to Indian sovereignty. Sri Lanka's president and envoys have visited India, expressing a commitment that their land will not be a base to threaten India. Yet, days later, Chinese spy ships are en route to Colombo. What can we infer from this apparent contradiction? The complexity is rooted in economics. China owns around 20% of Sri Lanka's external debt, and Chinese firms continue to increase their foothold in the Sri Lankan market. Thus, while Sri Lanka may want to distance itself from China, it finds itself constrained by financial realities. Let me ask you, dear audience, a simple yet pivotal question. What happens when an economy becomes so intertwined with another that it affects sovereignty and security? The answer lies in the balance of power and the struggle for influence. Sri Lanka's joining of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, a trade bloc dominated by China, and the continuous presence of Chinese warships in Sri Lankan ports signify a growing Chinese influence. These actions inevitably raise concerns for India and, by extension, for the world. Could a Chinese military base be established in Sri Lanka? Reports indicate that it is very much possible, with Hambantota among China's top options for a naval base. Investments amounting to nearly $2 billion, along with a 99-year lease over the Hambantota port, further consolidate China's position. But where does this leave India? Trade and investments are facets of globalization, but hosting vessels that potentially threaten national security crosses a red line. India has thus far let it slide, but for how much longer? This delicate situation is symbolic of a larger global struggle where nations are caught between major financial supporters. The economically devastated Sri Lanka finds itself torn between the influences of India, China, and the United States. The case of the Yuan Wang 5, a Chinese satellite tracking vessel cruising towards Sri Lanka, has become a symbol of this tug of war. India and the U.S. have exerted pressure on Sri Lanka to revoke access to the port, leading to heightened negotiations and increasing tension. What we observe is not just a dispute over a port visit. It's a reflection of global dynamics where nations like the United States, India, and China jostle for influence. The location of Hambantota is strategic, close to essential shipping lanes and the Persian Gulf. Its accessibility to China's navy would signal a significant shift in regional dynamics. However, the principle of unrestricted navigation, often championed by the U.S., adds a layer of complexity to the situation. It becomes a question of balance and principles, not just power. Ladies and gentlemen, the recent developments in Sri Lanka illustrate a larger narrative, one of influence, security, sovereignty, and the constant dance of diplomacy. The question we must all contemplate is how we navigate these turbulent waters, respecting sovereignty, while recognizing that the choices made in a small island nation can have rippling effects on the global stage. The Chinese influence in Sri Lanka, the Indian concerns, and the pressure from the United States all converge to form a landscape that requires wisdom, foresight, and cooperation. Let us remember that while temperatures may rise and headlines may blare, the path forward must be one of respect and understanding. The voices of nations may differ, but the underlying quest for security, sovereignty, and peaceful coexistence must be the shared melody that guides our way. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome your thoughts and questions on this complex and vital subject. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, Please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence. Your subscriptions and likes motivate us to generate more content, so please keep supporting us. Check out this video showing on your screen right now, and I will see you on the other side.